Pass the line.
Yeah.
You're pinching both.
I'm a G.
Straight down.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us here at the Buddhist Temple of Toledo. Please be seated and join us for the daily liturgy beginning on page 2. Gata of Atonement. All evil karma ever committed by me, sense of all, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all. All evil karma ever committed by me, sense of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all. All evil karma ever committed by me, sense of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, but now I atone for it all. Nikaya 3 Refuges. Buddham Sarnam Gacchami. Buddham Sarnam Gacchami. Dhammam Sarnam Gacchami. Dhammam Sarnam Gacchami. Sangham Sarnam Gacchami. Sangham Sarnam. I take refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Sangha. I take refuge in Sangha. The 5 remembrances. I am the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. This precious human life, rarely encountered, is easily lost. Now that I have life and opportunity, may I practice the Dharma wholeheartedly. Mahayana refuge. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. Invocation of the lineage. I give thanks for the guidance of my teachers, for the lineage of teachers before them. I give thanks and offerings for their devoted practice of generosity, moral discipline, patience, joyful effort, concentration, wisdom, skillful means, unshakable vow, spiritual powers, and awakened awareness for my benefit. May their years of life be lengthened. May their vows be completely realized, and may I cultivate these perfections with their guidance. 7 practices of the Bodhisattvas. I bow down in body, speech, and mind. I offer the best I have to give, both real and imagined, to fill the space between us. I regret and purify all transgressions. I rejoice in all virtues. I request you to remain until total enlightenment. I request wise and compassionate guidance. I dedicate my merit for the sake of all beings. Generating love and compassion. May all sentient beings be free from clinging and hatred. Being close to some and distant from others, how wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will free them from clinging and hatred. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and the causes of happiness. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them happiness and the causes of happiness. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will free them from suffering and the causes of suffering. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings have the joy that has never known suffering. May they be free from clinging, hatred, jealousy, miserliness, doubt, pride, wrong view, ignorance, and dualistic thoughts. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them to this state. Bless me to accomplish this. We will now have our reading on page 41, or a printout that was given to you. Guidance in Shikantaza, the absolute practice of just sitting. Zazen is the source of all the teachings and practices of the Buddha way. All enlightenment practices emanates from and returns to Zazen. Zazen is neither concentration practice nor not concentration practice. There are concentration practices, and if we are practicing thus, Zazen is just being upright and unmoving. In the midst of such a practice, if we are not practicing concentration, Zazen is just sitting upright and unmoving in the middle of not practicing concentration. Although one might joyfully practice focusing on the posture and the breath with no gaining idea, Zazen is not limited to this form of practice. Zazen is pure presence, untouched by all human agency, relying on no contrivance. Zazen cannot be reduced to or trapped into mindfulness or mindlessness of breath or of the posture. It cannot be captured by any activity of body or mind. The stillness of the Buddha sitting is not merely stillness. It is complete present in stillness. There is not the slightest meddling. It is physical and mental, not interfering. It is thorough intimacy with whatever is happening. This is an infinitely flexible stillness that can adjust to the impermanent nature of all things, harmonizing with all situations. Zazen does not prefer success over failure or enlightenment over delusion. If we are ardent, we will sit still in the middle of enlightenment with no preference for it. If we are deluded, we sit still in the middle of delusion with no aversion to it. This is the Buddha's Zazen. Zazen practice is selfless. The goal of Zazen is the liberation of all living beings from suffering. But the goal is exactly the same as the practice. In realizing this goal, one becomes free of self-concern and personal gain, and becoming free of self-concern and personal gain actualizes the goal. Nevertheless, Zazen is an intentionary awareness. It opens the door to full understanding of how self and others dependently co-produce one another. This is the samadhi of all Buddhas. The meaning of Zazen, the enlightenment and liberation of all living beings, is not brought forth by the power of personal effort and is not brought forth by the power of some other. Zazen doesn't start when we start making effort, doesn't stop when we stop. We can't do it by ourselves, and no one else can do it for us. Please stand for the Heart Sutra and the Harmony of Relative and Absolute. Great Prajna Paramita Heart Sutra Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva practicing deep Prajna Paramita clearly saw that all five skandhas are empty, transforming all suffering and distress. Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness, no other than form. Form is exactly emptiness, emptiness exactly form. Sensation, perception, mental reaction, consciousness are also like this. Shariputra, all things are essentially empty, not born, not destroyed, not stained, not pure, without loss, without gain. Therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no sensation, perception, mental reaction, consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no color, sound, smell, taste, touch, object of thought, no seeing, and so on, to no thinking, no ignorance, and also no ending of ignorance, and so on, to no old age and death, and also no ending of old age and death, no suffering, cause of suffering, sensation, path, no wisdom, and no attainment, since there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva lives by prajnaparamita, with no hindrance in the mind, no hindrance, and therefore no fear, far beyond elusive thinking. Right here is nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future live by prajnaparamita, attaining anuttara sambodhi. Therefore know that prajnaparamita is the great sacred mantra, the great vivid mantra, the unsurpassed mantra, the supreme mantra, which completely removes all suffering. This is truth, not mere formality. Therefore set forth the prajnaparamita mantra, set forth this mantra and proclaim gate gate para, gate parsam, gate bodhisvaha, gate gate para, gate parsam, gate bodhisvaha, gate gate para, gate parsam, gate bodhisvaha, gate. The harmony of relative and absolute. The mind of the great sage of India is intimately conveyed from west to east. Among human beings are wise ones and fools, but in the way there is no northern or southern ancestor. The subtle source is clear and bright. The tributary streams flow through the darkness. To be attached to things is illusion. To encounter the absolute is not yet enlightenment. Each and all the subjective and objective spheres are related and at the same time independent, related separate yet working differently, though each keeps its own place. Form makes the character and appearance different. Sounds distinguish comfort and discomfort. The dark makes all words one. The brightness distinguishes good and bad phrases. The four elements return to their nature as a child to its mother. Fire is hot, wind moves, water is wet, earth hard. Eyes see, ears hear, nose smells, tongue tastes the salt and sour. Each is independent of the other. Cause and effect must return to the great reality. The words high and low are used relatively. Within light there is darkness, but do not try to understand that darkness. Within darkness there is light, but do not look for that light. Light and darkness are a pair, not one, not two, like the foot before and the foot behind. In walking, each thing has its own intrinsic value and is related to everything else in function and position. Ordinary life fits the absolute as a box and it's lit. The absolute works together with the relative like two arrows meeting in midair. Reading words, you should grasp the great reality. Do not judge by any standards. If you do not see the way, you do not see it, even as you walk on it. When you walk the way, it is not near, it is not far. But if you are confused, mountains and rivers block your way. I respectfully urge you who study the mystery, do not pass your days and nights in vain. Infinite realms of light and dark convey the Buddha mind, all that is, and we ourselves come forth in perfect harmony. We offer this sincere and devoted practice for the many beings of the 6 worlds and dedicate it in grateful thanks to the strength and sound practice of the great Heartland Sangha and its teachers. May our virtuous actions be clear from all interferences, and may our vows be fully realized. We especially dedicate these merits to Joe and Laura Lee. May they heal their ills. Julie Roth, Matthew Ettinger, William McGinnis at the time of their death, and those names we hold in the silence of our hearts, as well as those whose names we now voice aloud. May we live in perfect peace with Buddha Dharma, and may we realize the Buddha way together. All Buddhas throughout space and time, all honored ones Mahasattva's wisdom beyond wisdom, Mahaprajna Paramita. Please prepare for Zazen. Kids and Dharma school teachers, please report to the doorway. Please stand for Kenyon. The first and third rows will turn to the right. The second and fourth rows will turn to the left. We will now recite the Sangha Covenant on page 8. We, the Daishin Kokoji Sangha, with respect for the worth and dignity of each person, with wonder at the wisdom and compassion we seek to cultivate by practice, and with deep gratitude for the teachers of this lineage and our connection to one another, covenant to support each other by upholding the precepts of doing no harm, practicing good, and actualizing good for others. Please be seated for this morning's talk. Face the teacher and sit comfortably. When he bows. Gatha on opening the sutra, the Dharma incomparably profound and infinitely subtle is rarely encountered even in millions of ages. Now we see it, hear it, receive and maintain it. May we completely realize the Tathagata's true meaning.
Good morning, everybody. It's delightful to see you here today. Please sit comfortably and in such a way that we can see each other. Last night was a lot of fun. There was a lot going on last night. You all had something you were doing, I'm sure. Some of us found ourselves at the symphony last night. We got to enjoy Anken's amazing bassoon playing, is always a treat, and there was just a wonderful program of music, and I don't know, about a dozen or so Sangha folk were there, which was just wonderful, you know. And it's a little funny, sometimes people, you remember when you were in grade school and you only ever saw your teacher at school, and then one day they were in the grocery store? I think we did that to one Sangha member last night. It was kind of fun. But then significantly also, the Teen Dharma School had its first meeting. I want to really hold up Eka and her ongoing efforts. Yeah, let's. For sure. I mean, was anyone here ever a teenager? So, oh yeah. So, finding a way to have the Dharma be accessible and to successfully connect with anyone, honestly, but folks of that age, that's amazing. It's really amazing, and consider what it would have been like had you encountered the Dharma at the tender age of 14 or 15 or 16. But then actually had, resonance enough to connect with it and take even 2% of it on. That's fine. I mean, just the number of decisions made in light of practice, right? It's particularly important to, as much as possible, make the Dharma accessible and relevant. So thank you for that. It's been a long time that Eka's been forwarding that, and we've tried in different iterations in the past. Some may remember various permutations where we tried, and with some degree of success, but I think now we're in a much better situation. So the topic today is joy. Right? Some people mistakenly have the view that Buddhism and Zen in particular is about being Vulcan. It's about being somewhere between a samurai and a Vulcan and kind of some unfeeling but unperturbable, therefore, person. And I should hope to disabuse you of such fallacy right away. Practice is joyful. It really is joyful. It's no less. It's not a bad word. And sometimes that word can seem quite distant if we are in the middle of trauma or challenge of some particularly acute or chronic kind. The word can be irritating. Take your joy and shove it, and I get it. I understand that. But I would like to really hold up, if you're in that space, just simply to encourage you that joy is possible. Beauty is still here, and joy is still on offer. There are ways to actually live joyfully in a world that's broken and breaking, even as your own body may be broken or is breaking. Still, there is a fundamental freedom which no condition can touch. There is a basic quality that nothing can defile, not even you on your worst day so far, right? The Buddha in the Dhammapada, the collected sort of wisdom sayings, one of many, said, live in joy, in love, even among those who hate. Live in joy, in love, even among those who hate. What would that be like if you could actually access joy that isn't dependent on the circumstances all working out to your favor? I prefer it when it does. I'm not surprised when it doesn't. But my essential joy is not captive to something as impermanent as circumstance. Why would you give circumstances that much power? Do you think they really matter that much? Do you suppose that once you finally get it all figured out, you're done? Can anyone who's lived even a little while keep a straight face while entertaining such a fallacy? And the answer is yes. because your psyche will continually cover over your experience and dangle the next carrot. Ah, yes, but once we get over this little bump in the road, then all will be clear. And of course, you being a good little person, you make that go, you do your best, and things are clear for a time, but only for a time. Eventually, the termites enter, the moss grows, the shadow of winter approaches, and somehow we're surprised, as though this shouldn't be possible anymore. I figured my life out after all. I picked my major. The rest of my life should have been just, you know. What would it be like if you learned to actually take custody of your joy anyway? Oh, but Roshi, that's easy for you to say. You're up there in this golden whatever that is you're wearing, and you're sitting up there on a nice, somewhat comfortable chair, and, you know. No, one thing I know now that I maybe wasn't apparent to me is that Roshi's life is no different from anyone else's. And I remember when I first started seeing that from my teacher, I felt at once heartbroken because my fantasy had to be let go of. That somehow the Zen master was some Jedi that could use the Force and no foe could face. No. But more precious than that, a better trade than that, is to actually live authentic human life, which is precious beyond measure. To really live your own life authentically. And look, you know, circumstances come and go. We know. But we forget. So we have these remembrances, these pesky friends. Now, I'm not saying that grief is bad or sadness is wrong. Certainly not. But there is kind of an inner authenticity that can be inside the grief that makes it joyful grief. There can be an authenticity inside the sadness that makes it joyful sadness. Do you understand? It's not just being perky all the time. Please. Just turn that shit down a little bit, okay? It's too early for the perk. Stop. You know? But there is a way of, even when it's really tough and it's not working out and things are all awry, if you know that you're being authentic, you're free. You're free inside that supposed failure. Because it's not a failure. I mean, by some measure, yeah, you fell on your ass, I know. But by the larger measure, if you're living your life authentically, that is joy. And it doesn't have to look any one particular way. In fact, it can't. The conditioning runs so deep that we don't even see it. The modeling and threats of our parents, perhaps, the things society says, the way things ought to and should be. The list is longer than my sleeve, for God's sake. And how much of that stuff stands up to critical scrutiny? Very little. Maybe some, but pretty little. And that can lead us to a very lonely place. And most people would prefer the comfort of the conditioning to the loneliness of that authentic journey. But I tell you, that is the journey of awakening. Somewhere along the line, you've got to be willing to drop the conditioning and make your own damn decisions. No one can do that for you. There's no one that can embrace your life exactly in the center of your life but you. And no one can nor should tell you what that's supposed to look like. Not at all. Now, it's true, in order to function and in order to access the Dharma, we come together and we gather, and when we gather, we have precepts that we follow. The Sangha covenant, the Sangha precepts that we hold together. We respect each other's worth and dignity, right? We do no harm, we practice good, we actualize the Dharma with each other. Sure, there's some guide rails here. And they matter, by the way. It's not a given that people have the right to participate in this together. We have to stand up to our own and other scrutiny. We have to behave well and correctly, morally and ethically. But exactly who you are is up to you to discover. Live in joy, in love, even among those who hate. I would say, even when you're completely pissed off, even when you've lost your shit, and you will, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're lying. So don't worry about that. That's not a problem. It's the living in joy anyway part. That's where we can do our work. The stillness of the Buddha's sitting, Reb Anderson Roshi teaches us, is not merely stillness. It is complete presence in stillness. There is not the slightest meddling. Please take that in. The stillness of the awakened ones, Zazen, is not merely being still externally. It is complete presence in stillness. There is not the slightest meddling. There is not the slightest meddling. If you ponder perhaps your experience of that last little chunk of Zazen, were you meddling? Trying to manage and fix and cajole, right? Trying to gut it out or to make it feel differently than it does. There's an infinite way of meddling. Please stop. Please drop this unneeded, unnecessary, and unhelpful habit of meddling. Please simply trust yourself. Dear one, you are perfect, you are complete, you lack nothing, you have no need of meddling at all. Please trust yourself and take the seat of dignity. It's that simple, and it's a big deal. Imagine a version of yourself where you could actually tolerate yourself enough to sit still and be okay with your body. Yes, your body. Okay with it. Connected to it. United with it. No different from it. No gap. And the same with your feeling. And the same, dear one, with your mind. To simply trust the whole catastrophe with complete surrender. Nothing to improve, no goal to achieve, nothing else you've got to add or get or fix or win or do. Just shut up. Sit down. Trust yourself. At least for a minute, huh? In spots. I mean, of course there's stuff to do and there's things to get and things do need to be fixed. I know that. We all know that part we kind of get. We typically don't need teaching on that. Sometimes we do. you can get stuck in this surrender part. And then it's like, hey, go fix the bathroom door. But my piece. Let's see your piece while you fix the bathroom door, please. That's the next level training, yeah? Non-interfering. There is not the slightest meddling. It is physical and mental non-interfering. Can you feel that? To really sit still and not interfere, to not meddle with your life, to actually allow your life to just simply be and to trust it. This is amazing. If you haven't yet tasted this particular joy, I can't wait until you do, because once you do, it's like, oh, this is actually not just indulging pleasure. This is not just interesting distraction. This is not just like mind candy or eye candy or fear response, adrenaline. This is something completely other. This is as though it were a very cloudy night, and then the clouds begin to part and you can see this beautiful moon that's always been there. And finally you can see her. You can see the stars clear as day. They've always been there. But with churn and drama and clinging and meddling and interfering, it gets covered up. And what is that urge to constantly interfere and meddle and fix? It's your conditioning. You're still trying to get dad to approve, or mom to bless, or your partner to be different than they are, or whatever it is. Or you can project that onto a deity somewhere and, get the deity to save you or something. But I tell you this, even if you manage to make that just feel like it lines up in spots, it won't last. It can't. It is thorough intimacy with whatever is happening. And the thing that's interesting about this, very interesting about this, is when I started encountering this, I really felt and experienced that there was something particular about the Zazen. And there is, kind of. But there was this big gap between what I was actually able to touch at times and in spots in the sitting and like life. And honestly, compared to my life today, my life back then was a lot simpler. But still, to my much younger self, it was overwhelming. And gave me lots to meddle with, and lots to interfere with, and lots of reasons to not trust myself, or so it seemed. But happily, as my training progressed and I began to go to retreats and actually start to get into what this thing is about, that joy that the Buddha is talking about began to actually be accessible even when I had to do the dishes or didn't get doksan that day or my knee hurt. Somehow, without it being an act of will and effort on my part, I tumbled into getting out of my own way. And there's nothing special about me. It's the situation that helped that happen. It's what sesshin is all about. It's what retreat is about. It's what this temple is designed to do. We don't come here to worship anything or anyone. We come here to practice and to hang and have some fun and practice so that we can take that complete non-meddling and non-merging into whatever life is for you at this time. And each of us is different. But whether you're at a crest or a swell or an up or a down, as you think it might be, it doesn't matter. Your true nature is unperturbable, really. It is thorough intimacy with whatever is happening. This is an infinitely flexible stillness that can adjust to the impermanent nature of all things. Adjusting to the impermanent nature of all things. Your bed is not your bed. It's simply the bed where you expect you'll go to sleep tonight, because that's where you woke up this morning, perhaps. But make no mistake, it is not yours. Right? It was somewhere else 10 years ago, 100 years ago. All the wood in that bed was something else. And sometime in the future, dear one, it will be someone else's bed. Or it will be in the trash, or it'll be recycled. Where is your bed then? If you think your happiness depends on it being yours, you are in for a world of pain. If you simply realize that at this moment in this time, without clinging, you're free. Do you see? The true freedom is completely non-clinging and completely engaging. This is not an excuse to disassociate or bow out or not take responsibility or step up. You better do those things. The world needs you to do those things. There are certain ways of being in the world that no one but you can do. I can't do it. Couldn't do it for you. No way. I'm completely ill-equipped. But you are in the center of that mandala. Please step up. But don't meddle. Don't interfere. Simply allow. Harmonize with all situations. Really meet, merge, and integrate with every moment of your life. And don't miss it, because those moments are ticking down one by one by one. Live in joy. Live in love, even among those who hate. The stillness of the awakened one's zazen is not mere stillness. It is complete presence in stillness. There's not the slightest meddling. It is physical and mental non-interfering. It is thorough intimacy with whatever is happening. This is an infinitely flexible stillness that can adjust to the impermanent nature of all things and harmonizes with all situations. Sometimes formal robes, sometimes jeans and a t-shirt, but always harmonize with what is so. May it be so.
We will now chant the Bodhisattva's vows. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Being are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bujo, and we just had our Dharma school today, and you all can start laying it out. Thank you. Today we talked about, we finished up the third treasures with Dharma. We had done Buddha and Sangha, so we talked about the Four Noble Truths, and we focused on the Eightfold Path and talked about examples of how we could follow the Eightfold Path. And so what they're doing now is they're laying out our Eightfold Path, and most of them also colored a Dharma wheel, which has 8 spokes that represent the 8 parts of the Eightfold Path. So we can all walk it. You can walk right on it if you want, and show them your Dharma wheels. Thank you. All right, kids, and you can find your parents now.
Thank you for your practice, everybody. There's awesome pasta on the way. We say enjoying some bread. We had a nice bread baking session yesterday, so please hang around.
Thank you, everyone, for practicing with us this morning. As Roshi mentioned, there will be refreshments. Please join us. The gong will sound when those refreshments are ready. As the outgoing registrar, I wanted to remind everyone that today is the last day to register for January session. So registration will close tomorrow morning so that we can prepare and make assignments and such. So please get that done today. If you are still debating or if you need to change your registration, please try and do that soon. Thank you for making all of our lives easier on that note. Any other announcements? Wonderful. Please clean up this endo.